Yes, script video transcript Kuzaria bat ige tamam 10 bad leaks or rumors ko expansive, detailed or smooth paragraph format, bin a kissy heading ku, mine 6,000 words says iada lambai English script ku roop mine tayakati high. Welcome everyone to an in-depth breakdown of the most anticipated, groundbreaking, and game-changing technological evolution coming from Cupertino. Today, we are taking a massive leap past the upcoming release cycles to dive headfirst into the extraordinary leaks and rumors surrounding the future anniversary edition of Apple's iconic smartphone lineup, the iPhone 20, also frequently referred to in tech circles as the iPhone XX. Now, before we venture into these groundbreaking features, it is completely understandable that many of you might be wondering why we are already discussing a device that is positioned a couple of generations ahead when devices like the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max have not even seen the light of day yet. It is a completely fair question, but to truly understand how a tech titan like Apple operates, one must look at their long-term structural engineering and research and development pipelines. Apple never works on a linear, year-to-year timetable where they design a phone, launch it, and only then sit down at a drawing board to figure out what comes next. Their internal hardware development pipelines span 3, 4, or even 5 years in advance. A prime example of this long-term foresight is the Apple Vision Pro, which was under active research, prototyping, and refined development for over a decade before it ever reached the consumer market. Similarly, historical accounts reveal that work on the original iPad Air's fundamental chassis and thin-profile engineering actually began immediately after the launch of the very first iPad, even while intermediate generations like the iPad 2 were being finalized. Therefore, exploring the iPhone 20 today provides us with an accurate preview of the multi-year engineering goals Apple has set to redefine the entire industry once again. Just as the landmark iPhone X completely revolutionized the smartphone industry nearly a decade ago by doing away with physical home buttons, introducing bezel-less display concepts, and pioneering Face ID biometric security, the iPhone 20 is fully intended to set the master design template and technological foundation for the next 10 years of mobile devices. The very first major leak surrounding this anniversary masterpiece points toward a complete, ground-up structural redesign centered around an all-glass enclosure. While initial supply chain rumors briefly suggested that Apple might face manufacturing hurdles with a seamless glass chassis, multiple high-profile supply chain analysts have confirmed that Apple is actively moving forward with this all-glass structural approach. What this truly means in practical terms is not necessarily an impractical or overly fragile slab of glass, but rather a seamless front visual profile where display bezels are entirely eliminated. Rather than utilizing aggressive, deep-edge curves like older Android flagship devices that caused accidental palm touches and structural vulnerabilities, the iPhone 20's display will feature ultra-subtle edge curvature. When looking directly at the device from the front, it will appear as an uninterrupted sheet of pure glass, while a slight tilt reveals the high-precision structural metal frame underneath designed to absorb impacts. Complementing this front glass is a next-generation iteration of Apple's proprietary ceramic shield technology engineered for the rear glass panel, drastically increasing scratch resistance, structural rigidity, and shatter resistance, resulting in a device that looks like a seamless jewel while retaining day-to-day durability. To achieve this flawless, borderless glass aesthetic, the second major leak highlights that Apple has partnered directly with Samsung Display to manufacture a revolutionary type of flexible panel. Samsung is leveraging advanced flexible panel manufacturing techniques typically reserved for premium foldable displays, but applying them to a rigid, flat surface form factor for Apple. Through this collaboration, engineers have successfully removed multiple legacy sublayers from the display stack, making the screen significantly thinner without compromising structural integrity. Because this ultra-thin panel sits directly beneath the next-generation ceramic shield, IT remains fully protected against drops, bends, and impact pressure. Furthermore, this streamlined internal display architecture allows light to pass through with far less internal reflection, unlocking unprecedented color vibrancy, higher peak brightness output, and unmatched contrast ratios, ensuring that the iPhone 20 will deliver what may very well be the single most visually stunning display ever embedded into a mobile device. The third leak represents what many consider the absolute highlight of this anniversary design, the full integration of under-display Face ID and under-display camera technology. 4 years, users have transitioned from the classic notch to the dynamic island, but the ultimate end goal for Apple has always been a clean, uninterrupted display canvas. Leaks indicate that Apple's engineering team has finally mastered the optical clarity and sensor sensitivities required to place the complex flood illuminator, dot projector, infrared camera, and primary front-facing selfie camera directly behind the active display pixels. This means the dynamic island and punch-hole cutouts will no longer be permanently visible features on the screen. Instead, the screen will remain a 100% continuous sheet of glass during standard video playback, gaming, and web browsing. When Face ID authentication or the front camera is actively needed, the display pixels above the sensors will temporarily adjust their opacity to let light pass through, and the dynamic island interface will only render digitally on software when contextually relevant notifications or background tasks require it. Despite these drastic architectural changes, the fourth major leak reassures users that Apple will continue to cater to diverse form factor preferences by releasing 2 distinct physical sizes for the iPhone 20. Current supply chain information indicates that Apple will offer a standard 6.3-inch display variant alongside a massive 6.9-inch to nearly 7-inch variant for power users who prefer maximum screen real estate. While it remains unclear whether Apple will stick with the traditional Pro and Pro Max branding hierarchy or introduce a completely new naming convention to signify this milestone anniversary edition, consumers can rest assured that both compact and large screen form factors will feature the exact same revolutionary under-display technology, all-glass aesthetics, and internal upgrades. Moving inside the chassis, the fifth major leak reveals that Apple is making a definitive transition away from mechanical physical buttons in favor of fully solid-state, haptic-powered control surfaces. Apple previously introduced haptic feedback mechanisms for home buttons on devices like the iPhone 7, iPhone 8, and iPhone SE series, as well as the Force Touch trackpads on modern MacBooks. For the iPhone 20, the traditional physical volume keys, power button, and action button will be entirely replaced by solid-state capacitive regions backed by precision haptic engines. When pressed, these zones will deliver localized electromechanical pulses that mimic the tactile sensation of a real mechanical click without any actual moving parts. Eliminating physical button cutouts dramatically improves water and dust resistance, eliminates long-term mechanical wear and tear, and frees up critical internal volumetric space inside the frame, allowing engineers to cram even larger performance components and larger battery cells inside the phone. Speaking of battery capacity, the sixth major leak highlights a monumental shift in energy storage technology: Apple's transition to silicon-carbon battery chemistry. Traditional smartphones rely heavily on standard lithium-ion batteries, which have reached a physical plateau regarding energy density per millimeter of space. By incorporating silicon anodes into the lithium battery cell chemistry, Apple can dramatically increase the energy density of the battery without increasing its physical size or thickness. This means a silicon-carbon battery with the exact same physical dimensions as a legacy battery can hold significantly more milliamp hours, mAh. For the larger 6.9-inch model, this technology could easily push battery capacity past the 6,000 mAh mark, offering multi-day battery performance on a single charge and effectively solving power longevity concerns even under heavy graphical and AI processing loads. To power this advance in hardware, the seventh leak details the arrival of the next generati. On A21 Pro silicon chip. Manufactured using TSMC's refined second-generation 2nm, 2nm semiconductor process node, the A21 Pro will push the boundaries of computational power and energy efficiency. Early performance projections indicate that the A21 Pro will yield a massive 10% to 25% increase in processing speed over the previous A20 Pro generation, while simultaneously drastically cutting down power consumption and heat generation. This incredible thermal efficiency ties directly into the new all-glass chassis design, ensuring the phone stays cool during demanding workloads, mobile gaming, and intensive on-device artificial intelligence computations. Complementing this powerful 2nm chipset is the eighth leak regarding a completely new architecture for mobile memory, mobile high-bandwidth memory, HBM. Traditional smartphones currently utilize standard mobile RAM modules similar to those found in thin laptops, such as LPDDR5X. However, Apple is designing a custom, specialized high-bandwidth memory solution engineered specifically to interface directly with ARM-based mobile architectures. This new memory subsystem operates much like high-speed cache memory, drastically reducing latency, accelerating data transfer rates for complex machine learning tasks, reducing system thermal output, and operating with a fraction of the power required by conventional RAM modules, providing a massive performance boost for both multitasking and real-time processing. The ninth leak focuses on connectivity, pointing to the universal global deployment of Apple's fully custom-designed connectivity silicon, tentatively named the C3 modem chip. While earlier iterations of Apple's in-house modems faced regional rollout limitations due to legacy millimeter wave, wave, 5G infrastructure requirements in specific markets like the United States, the upcoming C3 chip is engineered to natively support all global 5G frequency bands, wave, sub-6 GHz networks, and satellite communications simultaneously. By replacing third-party modems across every single global model variant, Apple will achieve unprecedented hardware-software integration, significantly lowering network power drain, accelerating cellular data recovery times in weak signal zones, and further enhancing total battery endurance. Finally, the 10th major leak reveals what could be Apple's most ambitious hardware undertaking yet: an in-house, custom-designed primary camera sensor built completely from the ground up by Apple's own imaging engineering teams. Historically, smartphone manufacturers, including Apple, have relied on customized camera hardware manufactured and designed by third-party imaging suppliers like Sony or Samsung. With the iPhone 20, Apple is applying the exact same custom silicon philosophy that birthed the M-series and A-series processors to camera hardware. Apple will design the physics, color filter arrays, silicon photodiode structures, and sensor readouts in-house before handing the design to specialized fabrication plants for assembly. This custom sensor design will allow for perfect pixel-level integration with the A21 Pro's image signal processor, ISP, and neural engines, yielding unprecedented dynamic range, superior low-light performance, cinematic color accuracy, and instant computational photography processing speeds that will set a new benchmark for professional mobile photography and videography for years to come. See you soon in next videos.